Okay, it is that time. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the June 2024 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. My name is Kelly Donovan. I'm the chair of this board. For those of you who have never attended one of our meetings, I'll quickly explain how the meeting is conducted. First, we'll ask the applicant to come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and discuss your proposed project or request for variance. The floor will then be opened for anyone who would like to speak in favor or against the proposed project or variance. Once everyone's had a chance to speak, the public hearing will be officially closed and no new testimony will be taken. After public hearings have been held, the board will deliberate and make a decision on each case. Public is welcome to stay through the deliberations, but again, no public input is permitted unless we directly ask you for it. Those applicants who wish not to stay through deliberations, planning department staff will be available tomorrow with the board's decisions. Zoning Board of Appeals is a five-member board. Tonight, we have 4 members present, constituting a quorum. I will now call the roll. Mr. Mazzo. Present. Ms. Bucci. Mr. Landers. Mr. Donovan is present and Ms. Resonetti is excused. Did you all get a chance to look at the minutes?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the May 14th meeting minutes.
Okay, could I get a second, please? Thank you, Sue. Did I get all in favor?
No,
Aye. If I get ahead of myself, just reel me in. Okay. That gets us back to our agenda. Let's see. The first case on our agenda is it's a returning applicant from last month. It's the Metro Group Properties, 187 Clinton Street, area variances for the construction of a 60-foot tall building where 45 is the maximum, and 0 feet of commercial space along a portion of the ground floor where 30 feet are required along all street frontages. We can start. Right? So applicant, come on down. Welcome back.
Good evening.
Hi.
I'm Bob McCurdick with the law firm Coughlin and Gerhart, 99 Corporate Drive, Binghamton, New York.
Thank
I'm
you.
Steve Sanishin with Delta Engineers, 862 Hooper Road in Enwell.
Okay, and I'll remind everybody that we saw these folks last month and they gave us an overview of the project on Clinton Street. What more can you tell us this month?
Well, to bring you up to speed, we appeared before the Planning Commission last week, and the Planning Commission issued a negative declaration under seeker, and they also approved a site plan and a special use permit for this project. So the last stage of the review is this zoning board public hearing. And the 2 variances that we're requesting for the height of the structures and the use of the ground floor units along the side streets of Jarvis and Hudson.
Okay. I think that does catch us up pretty
Okay.
well.
Okay. And certainly if there's if you have any questions, anything, we're here to answer them.
Okay, members of the board, do you have any questions for the applicant?
We did receive one letter today. Is that right? From in opposition. And I just wondered if you had received that and you could address some of the questions that they have, if they're even relevant.
I have not seen that letter.
We got that late today. We have not sent that to the applicant yet, but I can read that into the record right now.
Yeah, I mean, most of it sounds like everything that you did address, but just so we could
Yeah,
acknowledge.
I
that
think it'd
we
be very,
received
yeah.
that.
Or do you want to wait till the public hearing?
They're sitting right here, so I think it might be best
Okay.
to address the concerns in the letter. Is this the same member of the public that was here last month to ask some questions?
No, I don't think so.
Different one?
No.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, I know I read the yeah, this one. Got it.
yeah,
Yep.
so the public hearing was left open at the
Public
last.
hearing was left open
Correct.
from last month, so I mean, as soon as we're done, we can consider this. Do I need to move and all that kind of good stuff or? Okay, I would like to make a motion to officially have the public hearing for 187 Clinton Street actively open again. Could I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, so that gets us back on track.
Sure, so this is from Patricia Garraway. I'll try to summarize it. Parking for commercial businesses along Clinton Street. Where is the designated parking? Is it convenient? What types of businesses will be allowed to lease? And she goes on to say the senior home on Clinton Street has commercial on the ground level as well, but getting businesses to move in has been difficult. The sidewalks along Slauson Ave and Crandall Street are unsafe or not present. Will the city or the developer be absorbing the cost to bring sidewalks up to pedestrian safety and code? Binghamton Code Enforcement is already strained by lack of staff. Will any new concerns that may arise in the area be addressed? Will the empty lots with overgrown weeds and shrubs be addressed on Clinton Street and side streets now that Binghamton will revitalize the area? So that's a summary of the statements and questions that Ms. Garraway made.
Okay. Would you like us to respond to those now?
If you can, if you're able to, sure.
Yeah, so first, in terms of the parking for commercial businesses along Clinton Street, there is parking along the street for people to come in and visit the commercial establishments. But we're also including a parking lot for those retail businesses as well. Do you want to just show them again where that parking lot is?
They're gonna be able to use the one behind. Oh, right
No,
there.
it's not behind, it's a separate lot
Okay.
specifically for those retail businesses.
Uh-huh.
There's also public transportation located directly outside of the buildings. And in terms of the type of retail businesses, we're anticipating small retail establishments such as delis, restaurant, convenience store, that kind of establishment. These aren't going to be large retail areas. I'm not here to say that there's any specific limits on what businesses will go in, but it's your typical downtown neighborhood retail business use. In terms of the code enforcement and a lack of staffing, I actually think that's not really within our purview as the applicants. However, this property will have a property manager, a full-time property manager on staff with an office in the building. And the code enforcement will have direct contact to that person. So I think we can actually help supplement code enforcement by having a contact person, somebody who's there looking after the management of the site. So I think we can actually help the city in that manner. The empty lots with weeds and shrubs, that's exactly what we're trying to remedy. We're going to improve that with the buildings and the amenities that are on the site plan. And sidewalks, and I'm not sure I've got an answer for the sidewalks. We don't, those are city property. The sidewalks along Slauson Ave, I think was the question.
Yeah, I think it was Slauson and Crandall.
Yeah, we don't have any plans with regard to the sidewalks on Slauson or Crandall. Yeah.
Okay,
We did get an additional late entry here.
okay,
They did not leave a name, but it's darwish926@aol.com. And I'm going to summarize it. So they're stating that train traffic and trucks are affecting the settlement of the houses and foundations in the area already. They're worried about pedestrians going over the train tracks, which they think will increase if housing is built here. They're worried about crime and property damage that already occurs around the train tracks increasing. Already occurs allegedly. They're saying that putting up a 10-foot fence along the tracks may stop this traffic along the train tracks and may also help with the crime issues. They're concerned about traffic and parking. And note that Crandall Street is not alternate side parking in the winter, and it's one of the last to get plowed. And so additional traffic in the area may make these issues worse. And then they just reiterate that they're concerned about crime.
Okay.
We'll make that email available on Basecamp and for whoever wants to review it.
I can respond to some of those.
Sure.
In regard to crime and, property damage or people crossing the railroad tracks. That's the kind of vagrant activity that you get from an undeveloped parcel. The parcel in the manner that it's in right now, uncared for, undeveloped, unimproved, it tends to attract that kind of vagrant activity. So I think what we're proposing will have the opposite effect. We're going to have an improved property with lighting, with fencing to prevent people from crossing the railroad tracks, with somebody managing the site, with people coming and going who are going to be living there. This is their home. I'm quite sure that the nature of this use will tend to lead to less vagrant activity than what's currently there on the site. In terms of the traffic and parking, this project was specifically designed to accommodate the traffic to the site. We've got multiple means of ingress and egress from multiple locations, Jarvis and Crandall. The beauty of this is that the roads are already equipped to handle the amount of trips that are going to be coming and going into the site. There's also bicycle accommodations. As I discussed, there's public transportation. We've been in touch with the fire department. They are comfortable with the ingress and egress to the site. So we're fully comfortable that this project has been designed to accommodate the traffic to and from. And I think there was a question about settling foundations of houses. I don't know if either of you guys can speak to that.
Was the concern that there was going to be more settling because of our construction, or was it just the existing or the increased traffic? Was that what it was?
It's not totally clear.
Okay.
Maybe they're worried about your project making the issues with the nearby foundations worse. Or potentially they're concerned about your project's foundation in the future because of the train traffic, but it wasn't really written clearly.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we're not adding anything other than vehicular traffic, which is already there, so we're not adding any loading or any, large trucks or anything that would cause any problems with the foundation. As far as the railroad, I mean, the railroad is the railroad. We're not going to change anything with that either, so.
Members of the board, do you have any questions while the applicant's right up here? Okay, well, thank you for coming back. At this time, I would like to ask anyone present wishing to speak for or against, come on down to the. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to ask you to come down. We need to get it on recording so we can Sorry about that. Sure, they're not going anywhere for at least a few minutes. Excuse me, I need you to come up and state your name and address for the record. It's just our procedure. That's about as formal as we get.
That's okay. Roseanne Simpson, and
Hi,
I live
Roseanne.
at 33 Gregory Lane
Hi.
off Clinton Street. And so I have a question. Is it going to be low income, senior citizen, college kids? Who are you kind of proposing that is going to live there?
I'll answer that once I get the floor back.
Okay, did you have any other questions?
Well, I'm just thinking, I came from
Or
New York
concerns?
City a long time ago, but you get an apartment building with that many apartments, you get a lot of drugs. And I know you said there's a manager, but he's not gonna be managing that. I mean, it's different if it's just a single home or a couple of apartments, but it's kind of like a project then. And I hate to say it, but that's why if it's low income, and nothing against low income, hey, we're all that way now, but I mean, who is gonna patrol that? Who's gonna watch out for drugs and things like that? That's my question.
So your concern is the type of folks that are going to be rented
Yeah,
to.
and I don't mean to
and-
put it like that. I'm just saying that we have enough drugs
Yeah.
on that area to begin with. You know, that,
Yeah, that's,
and you get a whole bunch of people living together and it's, I mean, it's a problem, the drugs in this country, and
it's a problem everywhere right now.
it is.
Did you have any other questions or
No,
concerns?
that's it. Oh, I do have one. How far back from the road is it gonna be? Is it gonna like sit right on the road or on Clinton Street, or is it gonna be back?
The
or-
record.
Ma'am, if you could speak into the microphone,
I'm
that
sorry.
way the recording will pick it up.
Is it gonna be up, right up to Clinton Street, or is it gonna be set back a little bit? The building itself?
Pretty sure they can answer that right as soon as they get the mic back.
All right, that's all I had. Bill.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Nope, that's exactly the way we have public meetings. Come on back.
Okay, so first, I just want to reiterate that this is a public hearing about the height of the structures
Yep.
and the use of the ground floor use of the side properties on Hudson and Jarvis.
I'm
But I will respond to the question. So this project was designed for the people who live in the city of Binghamton. This is what we call local workforce housing. It'll be built for people who have jobs, work in the community. People like teachers and firefighters and police officers and office workers and so forth. This is not student housing. This is not Section 8 HUD housing. This is what we call workforce housing for the people who already live in the city of Binghamton. And that comes through in the design of the project. It has things like a playground, fitness center, community center. This is a place where families can live and work in the city. And that's why we've designed it and proposed it. In terms of the setback, Steve, do you want to just show?
10 feet behind the sidewalk. Okay, so that will be consistent with the neighborhood. Yeah. I think that was more or less the question, is how far back it's going to be and whether it's going to fit in with what's existing. So I think that answers that question. Okay. And I think you've addressed the density and the security and the impact on crime already a couple of times.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? I will throw it back open to anyone else present wishing to speak in favor or against the proposed variances. No? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And- Yep, you're good to go now.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. And I believe I can make a motion to close I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing for 187 Clinton Street. Could I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, that gets us on to deliberations. And I will reiterate that that is a type 1 action, and the planning commission did have a lead, which we were aware of, being seeker review, and they had a 6-0 negative review for seeker. And I would like to make a motion to again recognize that planning commission has completed a negative seeker. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, now the criteria for the 2 variances, and we're looking at height and the 30-foot non-residential buffer. Whether it's and we'll look at these separately, I guess. Start with the height, undesirable change. Reasonable alternative is a substantial request over what's allowed. Is it an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood, and it was a self-created? Excuse me. Is it an undesirable change to allow the 60 feet height versus the 45-foot height limit?
I don't believe it is. It's 15 feet higher, yes, but you've got a blighted area that they're changing, completely changing. I don't see an issue with it.
I will also note that there are multiple buildings in the vicinity that exceed 45 feet. Including, thank you staff for putting this in for us, 22 Charles Street, 15 Charles Street, and a number of churches and other structures that are above this 45-foot limit. So,
I agree. And they did it's set back, so it's not even as noticed.
right. Okay, so regarding the undesirable change, I don't believe it. We're looking at that. Is there a reasonable alternative? I think we discussed this last month more so. The height led into the number of units they can fit into. And there was a lot of calculation and design went into the layout of the available space, and they were maximizing what they had to work with. It's a relatively complicated. So I'm sure they looked at alternatives. They talked about alternatives last month. So I'm satisfied that they have looked at other possibilities before they came up with this. Okay. Is it a substantial request? 60 feet versus 45?
I think it is. I don't see an issue with it.
I mean, especially since other buildings and
Yeah.
a number of other buildings in the area are in and above
We've
that
got
height.
St. Michael's down there and the churches are higher.
Is it an adverse impact on physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood?
No.
It's going to be the opposite. It's going to be, as this applicant stated, it's going to improve, going from an empty, undeveloped or underdeveloped, vacant, uncared for lot to a occupied, lit, maintained and secure site. I think that's going to be a huge improvement. And it was self-created, sure. So I'll move on to the 30-foot. What is it? How is it stated? 0 feet of commercial space where along a portion of the ground floor where 30 feet are required along the street frontages. And we talked about this again last month, where the number of units would have been, I believe it was something like 8 units would have to be, 8 or 12 units would have to be removed. Do you remember which it was? If this was not allowed. It's 8 or 12. How do you guys feel about this regarding an undesirable change to the zoning requirements to allow this?
So
I would note that we have allowed this in the past in other locations. Did you have 11? I was right around it. 11 units. And out of, and that's a substantial impact on the total number of units. They talked also about security, that the units were going to be secure. You wouldn't have the entrances to the apartments are not on the outside. They're on their internal secured entrances. So I don't view this as an undesirable change. Was there a reasonable alternative? We're kind of getting at that by the economics of the entire project. If you take out a large percentage, there's a lot of moving parts here. So I'm sure they started from X is required, and that's why we end up in these debates, is because you can't always go exactly letter. Is it a substantial request to allow this? And again, it's not on the Clinton Street side, correct? It's only on the two side streets on what are the streets?
Jarvis and Hudson.
Thank you, Jarvis and Hudson. Thank you. It's good to have somebody who's well informed over there. We were on substantial. Yeah, so since it's not on Clinton, I don't think it's nearly as, it would be something I would consider maybe substantial if we were talking the main street. On the side street with the well lit, I'm satisfied. Adverse impact on physical or environmental conditions to allow this altered variance from the standard. I don't think so. From the outside, people aren't going to really know the difference, really. And was it self-created? Yeah. And thank you for self-creating it, the people involved in putting this together. John, would you like to make a motion for us?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to approve the Metro Group Properties Incorporated at 187 Clinton Street for the area variance for the construction of a 60-foot tall building where 45 is maximum and 0 of commercial space along the portions of the ground floor where 30 feet are required along all street frontages. And I just think this is a great project to move forward on.
Could I get a second? Thanks, Sue. All in favor? Aye, that's 4 and none dissenting. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Good luck going forward. Appreciate it. Second case of the evening is Eric Rundell's 225 Chenango Street use variance to allow the establishment of an industrial cannabis business in an existing industrial neighborhood in the C6 Limited Neighborhood Commercial District. That's a mouthful. Hi. Hi, Eric. Yeah, you got, is the green light on? And
Now it is.
There you go. And what's your address?
The location of this business or my physical address?
I believe it's your physical address locally. or
It's
Where we at?
225 Shenango.
Okay. Okay, so if you could tell us a bit about your proposed variance request.
So I have a pending application in with the OCM. My number is 0357, and I would like to use this commercial building to cultivate under the smallest tier of cannabis that New York State allows you under the licenses. I would like to use 3,000 to 3,600 square feet of the space in the building to cultivate indoor.
Okay,
I'd like to do that through, I do regenerative farming, low impact. I reuse water. I do not use pesticides. In accordance with New York State, we have to, pass all kinds of tests, so we can't spray chemicals. We won't be polluting the water. There won't be runoff going into drains. We have taken extreme measures with spray foaming and installing air filtration systems that will scrub the air in the rooms where the flower is being grown and scrub the rooms outside of the areas where the flower is being grown. You won't smell cannabis anywhere outside of this building. our security measures. I'm gonna hire Myers Security out of Vestal to install cameras in accordance with the state. There'll be cameras on the outside of the building, but there'll also be 6 cameras on the inside of the building. And we won't have foot traffic beyond the few people coming in to work every day. We won't be selling out of there. We'll be delivering out of there probably once a month. We'll be hiring anywhere from 4 to 8 people in the Binghamton area or from the Binghamton area. And we'll be delivering, I believe, a 4% tax to your county. We're going to work with, and we already work with outside of this area, a testing facility in the county and 2 dispensaries in this county. Our goal is to try to keep as much money in this area and keep our business as close to Binghamton as possible.
Looks like you put a lot of time and research into this already.
Yes. I've been involved in cannabis for a long time. So
So you already have all the licensing from the state and all that?
I'm not approved, but I
But
am
you're in the process?
I've already passed through the first couple screenings.
Mhm.
My TP, True Party of Interest screening, just was submitted last week. And it's really the last step. I've already been fingerprinted. I've already went through,
Mhm.
the rigmarole, so.
No, we're just getting the background right now. Yeah, we'll open the public hearing after.
Yeah, I got confused and missed the appointment last Tuesday. I was supposed to come to a meeting. I don't know if that's,
Planning.
He's referring to the planning commission, yeah.
okay,
But obviously, this is uncoordinated review, so you folks do your part separately, and your public hearing is scheduled for today.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant?
Yes, I have a question. You said, you won't be selling out of there, but you'll be delivering out of there. What are you delivering?
we'll be taking the finished product out of there.
Okay.
We won't have anyone coming into the building to purchase. The way it works in New York State is the dispensaries place an order and then you fulfill the order. But with this facility, we'll be producing the flower in this facility, packaging it, and then taking it out of the building once it's packaged. So there will be no security risk. It'll be leaving to a secure space.
So did I read though that you were going to be delivering it to Ithaca? You're not going to be delivering it to any place in Broome County?
No,
Right there.
we are going to work with 2 dispensaries in Broome County, yes. We're going to try to keep as much of our business close to the business to save on travel, to save on manpower and time.
Any other questions? So I'm learning things tonight here. Apparently, according to the cannabis zoning regulations of the city, cannabis business is currently allowed in I-1, 2, and 3 districts with a special use permit. And it sounds like you're in the process of getting a special use permit, or is that additional?
Because the use is not allowed there at all, he needs a use variance, which sort of trumps the special use permit. So he needs
Okay.
a use variance from the zoning board of appeals,
So
and
that's
he
why-
needs a
that's why
site,
they're here.
yep, and he needs a site plan review from the planning commission.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, I have a couple questions. So how many other cannabis growing facilities are there in the city of Binghamton now?
I don't know of any.
You don't know that?
There are no licensed growing facilities in Binghamton right
in the
now.
city of Binghamton?
No.
They're just at the dispensaries.
Oh, yeah, only retail locations.
Retail, okay.
I must say, this is one of the more interesting and unique requests we've got.
Is there an inspection on this cannabis as you're producing it and it moves from the dispensary?
Yes, so we have, we will have visits from the OCM. They have field people that come. They do things from inspect your facility for safety, for air quality in your trim rooms, to the type of light you use. They inspect your canopy size as well. So that means they're gonna come and actually measure the diameter of your plant to confirm you're in accordance with what I'm doing. I'm actually using significantly less, so I don't suspect they'll be
I was just
measuring.
curious.
Yeah. It's mostly the testing of the finished product.
Okay.
They're very strict about, if you were to make 3,000 pre-rolls, they want to see 500 of them to then test. And they want to see your entire batch size. So they want to see all of your flour in 5-gallon buckets with liners before they come and they test. They actually come to your facility and select the weed to test. So this is Keystone, who's out of Vestal. They're the testing lab that would most likely be coming to this.
I was wondering what Keystone did. I've seen them out there. I know
Maybe
where
they're
they're
out
at.
of
Yeah,
testing other.
Yeah.
They do water testing. they
You're
do a
right.
lot of stuff.
Yeah,
Very,
Yeah.
very interesting.
they drink the water and then they take a puff.
No, they
No,
wouldn't be doing
okay, I
that.
was just wondering.
Because they'd be the last ones to do that. Any other questions?
No.
Okay. Well, I think at this point, we'll probably open the public hearing, but we'll see what kind of feedback we get on that.
So Eric, you own the building?
correct.
Okay, are there any outstanding code, violations on that building at all? Okay. Okay,
It'd be on code, I don't know.
Look it up.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, I
Big-
purchased
big
it
lobby.
vacant.
What used to be in there? Oh, that was very clever. Clever.
The last legal use was an industrial warehouse.
What's the overall square footage of the building? It says you're using like 3,000 to 5,000 square foot.
I believe it's 12,000.
So
I-
you're just,
I
you're just
could
gonna
be
use like a
mistaken.
corner of it?
We're gonna use the back corner of it.
That's your most.
Because we need space to pull a vehicle in. We want to have all our trash will be stored inside. There's strict regulations with your
Uh-huh.
garbage. You have to have locking lids and
Oh, yeah.
such. So the neighborhood is, there's questionable things. Since I've purchased the building, there's been questionable things left outside of the building. So we're going to take security measures to keep everything in a large section. And then we'll have another section that'll be it'll be another room for moving materials around. So
Very interesting. All right. Anything else?
There are no open violations. The last one was a garbage violation in 2022.
Well, thank you. We're gonna move on to our next step.
okay.
So I will make note that this is a type 2 action, and under seeker, there's no further environmental review required. Do I need to move on that or just note it? I, there being no seeker in the type of.
think just noting it is fine.
Okay.
We don't need to do secrets.
Seeker is not required for this application. I would like to make a motion to open the public hearing for 225 Chenango Street. Could I get a second, please? Thanks, Sue. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, then I would like to ask anyone present wishing to speak for or against the project, please come forward. Who's here? Okay. Do we have any comments? Any other communications regarding this application?
We don't have any written comments. Sal, did you get any calls? No.
All right. Are
I didn't realize that building was that big, that large. Doesn't look it from the front.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that large. Do you guys want to get into discussing the criteria, our deliberations for this one? Or can we go further without knowing what the planning commission is doing with this?
Yeah, you can issue a decision on the use variance independently because the use in this case is up to you. They're
Okay.
looking strictly at the site features.
Okay. Then you want to get into the criteria? Okay. So the criteria for a use variance are different than a area variance. In that we have to look at reasonable return. We have to determine if the applicant has proved evidence of a reasonable return. And we have to determine if it's a unique situation. Property has historically been used for commercial purposes, therefore the zoning board must determine if the proposed use is unique. Third criteria is essential character and quality of the district. We have to see if that will alter the character of the neighborhood at all. And then we have to decide whether or not it's a self-created hardship. So reasonable return. We didn't really get into that a whole lot. So this one's always a shade confusing for me, I must admit. I'm going to assume this is a relatively profitable business or something you can make a living at. Okay. In a different way than warehousing would have. Because that's the previous use of the space.
Correct, yeah. The zoning board has to find that the property owner can't get a reasonable return on this property by using it
For its previous use.
for its previous use or another use that's allowed in that zoning district. And so therefore, he needs to go outside of those uses to something that can get him a return on the building.
Okay. Oh, right. You're starting to clang some bells in my head here. Do we know how long this property was for sale before the applicant purchased it? I'm going to imagine it was probably a relatively reasonable purchase price. Yeah. That's the point I'm trying to get at here. Is it in its previous configuration and usage, it was probably not highly saleable. So the ability to make an income, a reasonable income on the previous use pattern for the building probably wasn't there. Okay, so what page am I here? So I'm relatively satisfied that the reasonable return probably was not obtainable in the previous functionality of the building. So I'm satisfied that looking at another usage is a reasonable thing to do at this point for the applicant. the uniqueness of this situation. Historically used for commercial business. But this seems like a very appropriate use for a good sized building. And I'm sure with the number of dispensaries in and probably programmed to come in, there's probably a need for growers in this area.
I think he's got room to expand in the building too, if he gets the opportunity.
With proper approval.
Sure.
Yeah.
I
We're
mean, it's
supposed to-
12,000
we're
square
supposed to
feet, which
discuss
really
how this-
surprised me that building's that big.
Is a unique situation. I'm not sure how it could be more unique.
Sure, yeah, the question is there something unique about this property that makes it not really suitable for limited limited neighborhood commercial, which is the uses that are allowed there, small convenience store, small bakery, things of that nature. So is this,
In that specific neighborhood, I really can't see a small business like that thriving. I don't know.
and so you're saying that because this is an industrial building in the limited neighborhood commercial district, this is unique. Most buildings in that district are not industrial.
Right.
Correct.
This one appears more industrial than commercial.
Yeah, it is a former warehouse.
Okay. So it just happens to be in the wrong physical location. And it is unique. Okay, then we've satisfied that discussion. Will granting this variance have a detriment on the character of the neighborhood?
No,
I mean,
I don't see.
most people, I'm gonna bet that you're not gonna put a whole lot of advertising and signage out front.
Yeah,
Okay. Most people are not gonna know what's going on there.
I just want to point out that the Office of Cannabis Management has restrictions on signage that are pretty
Right.
strict. So I don't believe that a grower would be able to put up signage that has anything to do with cannabis.
Right. And I would imagine the front's gonna probably get cleaned up a little bit, get a little better look. Oh, okay.
yeah.
And so that's gonna have a positive effect on the character and quality of the district. It'll upgrade it from a grungy industrial to a workable industrial. Is it self-created? Sure. How are you feeling about a motion there, John?
I'm feeling good about a motion here.
Okay,
I'd like to make a motion to approve 225 Shenango Street for the applicant is seeking a use variance to allow the establishment of an industrial cannabis business on an existing industrial building in a C6 limited neighborhood commercial district.
could I get a second? Thank you, Sue. All in favor?
Aye.
Good luck going forward. Let's see, next month with the planning commission. Okay, good luck. And our last applicant says Owen Bly, 162 Water Street, area variance to allow 20-foot wide drive aisles in an existing parking lot where 24 is the minimum in the C2 downtown business district. Are you going by an alias today or what? All right,
Hello, Mr. Bly.
All right. I'm obviously filling in for Owen. He's out of town. So I believe that all the questions that were asked by the committee were answered in the email. So I can follow along here if you have any questions.
yeah, we need
But
to get
it's-
it into the record, so that'd be great if you could hit the highlights or however you'd like to do it.
And real quick before you start, your name.
Mark
address.
Giannotti, 45 Lewis Street, Binghamton, New York, filling in for Owen Bly.
Thank you.
I think 186 State Street.
Okay.
For Owen. I believe I was here for his last meeting, where he moved for a variance on the reduction of, the aisle space from 24 feet to 20 feet. And I believe that 95% of the aisle is 24 feet. And I think it's based on how the property tapers towards the back. So he's asking for a variance. I believe he meets the majority of what needs to be done. The only person it would affect is the other building owner, property owner, who has also signed the document. So it's not impacting anybody else.
So the reason going 20 foot wide is to have more parking? Is that
Well-
the object of it?
Well, he's adding 5 more spaces. And in order to get that, they have to remove, I believe, some green space islands. And do you have the drawing in front of you, John?
Let's see here, I probably do, it's. Oh, okay. That's what I didn't see.
So as you enter off of Water Street, I guess heading east in the parking lot towards the back, you can see that it tapers.
Right. Okay,
Yeah, which are the 5 spots that were added on that drawing?
You might know better than me, but I
Yeah.
believe it's the blocked off the broken lines.
Yeah, if you
Okay.
look at the site plan, you'll see
These,
like an irregular shape towards the bottom.
those?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
that's a planter that's gonna be removed and those spaces in that footprint would be new.
Oh, okay, I can see the shadows. Yes, thank you. Gotcha. Okay. Anything else? You got any questions for the applicant?
no.
And you
He
said
answered
everybody,
mine.
all the neighboring properties are good with it?
Yeah, the other owner is actually on the applicant with him. I
Okay.
think he partakes in the project itself. Because there's a gain to him as well for parking.
Mhm. Okay,
This is an easy one.
you know, I don't like to say that till we're done. But it has that appearance so far. All right, thank you very much. We have a couple of things that we have to add in here and then we can open the public hearing. But should I mention now the section or the 239? We have gotten back at, you guys all saw this, 239 from Broome County. Planning Department has reviewed the above cited case and has not identified any significant countywide or intercommunity impacts associated with the project. However, they've noted the following. The seekers should describe or address both site plan review and the area variance for the full environmental review. Note the Court Street National Register Historic District in the historic response and address the yes, historic and archaeological responses. And 2, the site plan should show the proposed signage, requested variance and compliance with the staff report comments about lot coverage, landscaping plan and stormwater. Did this go to planning also?
It did, and that second comment appears to be based on the first site plan that was submitted to the planning commission. They revised the site plan to address some of these comments, and that's what the planning commission approved.
Okay, so it's already through the planning commission.
Correct, yep.
And both of these comments are more targeted towards the planning commission anyway. All right. That's in. Okay, this is. I still do have to go through. Okay. The proposed project requires a site plan review and a special use permit, which is already done through the planning commission. It's within 500 feet of a county road 239, which we just did. So now. Do I do the public hearing before or after seeker?
The public hearing first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. You're excused
For now.
for now.
Public hearing.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to open the public hearing on 162 Water Street. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Right. Okay, anyone present wishing to speak in favor or against the proposed project, please step forward, state your name and address. For the record, do we have any letters, emails,
We do not.
nothing? Depends what you had to say to him. Okay, seeing none, I would make a motion to close the public hearing for 162 Water Street. Could I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that gets us over to doing the seeker review. Did planning do their own non-coordinated?
Correct. Yeah, this is an unlisted action, so it didn't have to be coordinated.
Okay. So bear with me, I have to go through this list. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? And we have to decide whether it's no or small impact or moderate to large impact. And this is in regard to the driving lane being 4 feet narrower. Does that would that be a high impact or a low impact?
I think it's a low impact.
I would agree with low impact. Okay, will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land? No change, it's about the same. I mean, to add 5 parking spaces, it's. Yeah. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? Either small or large,
Very
I'd say
small.
small to minimal, none, okay. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? No. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? No. Will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies or public-private wastewater treatment utilities? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora and fauna? No. Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? No impact. Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? No. I would then move to that we have a negative declaration for seeker. Could I get a second? Thanks, Sue. And all in favor? Aye, that's unanimous. Okay, so getting to the criteria. If I can get to the right page. Again, this is an area variance, which is an extension of a parking lot. Is it an undesirable change to allow the 4-foot reduction? Again, it's only a half parking lot.
No.
No, nor to the nearby properties. Was there a reasonable alternative? Could they have striped it differently? I mean, I'm sure they looked at different options. It would have been easy. In all reality, if they could have solved it by just doing striping and not having to physically move anything, I think they would have. So I'm pretty sure they looked at reasonable alternatives and this became the most reasonable. Does this have an adverse impact on physical or environmental conditions? I mean, it could have a small impact on entering, but the entrance to the street is going to be the same width it's always been. So, no. It might be a little tighter in where you park in, but all the guys are going to be driving small cars, right? Yeah, okay. And was it self-graded? Sure.
Yeah. Self-grading.
Yeah. Any other comments?
No.
Ready for
Yeah, I'd like to make a
Motion.
motion to approve 162 Water Street, an area variance to allow 20-foot wide drive aisles in an existing parking lot where 24-foot is minimum in a C2 downtown district.
okay, can I get a second? Thanks, Sue. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that's unanimous. Thank you. Let Owen know that he's all set.
And we'll let him know that you spoke against it.
We'll play that back for him. Do we have any other business tonight?
No, sir.
All right, then I would make a motion to adjourn. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Microphone's off.
That was Yeah, we're supposed to, but not necessarily. Depends. Yeah,